Capital. We looked at capital on its own. We had $4.7 million in capital requests. This year's budget is funding $3.2 million worth of capital. And again, you can see those capital requests by department. Something new that you're going to see here in the column, it's capital appropriated to Department 43. In the past, capital was in various department budgets. Last year, we pulled capital out of the department budgets and we put everything into Department 35 for county obligations. Again, so department budgets, you can really just, what are your operational expenditures? And it really allows for looking at trends in history when you don't have those capital numbers really bumping and spiking things at different places. In this year's discussions, capital is not really a county obligation. It's not really what Department 35 is all about. So what we've created this year is we're creating County Department 43, which is going to be titled, I believe, General Fund and JSST Capital Expenditures. And that's where all of, and again, just for reference, you can see where the $3.2 million of capital, I'll need to read through that for you just as a reference. But Department 43 is where we're going to park all capital expenditures. And to properly track within that, each county department will be given an org code within Department 43, and that's the line items then that we will allot that $3.2 million to. And then that's how you'll have access and we can track those. And because I'm basically simple by nature and need to make things idiot-proof, I tried to make it easy for everyone. The org codes will just tie to your department numbers. So for example, with the commissioners, our org code is going to be 4301, auditor 4302, etc. So try to set it up so it's easy to manage for everyone. Another significant chunk in the county budget is Department 35. I've heard it referenced as Area 51 of the county budget, just kind of all the mishmash that goes into it, county obligations. And that is where there's primarily 90% of the expenditures in there are based either on statutory responsibilities of the county or contractual commitments to the county. Discretionary appropriations, there are some discretionary appropriations made through there to the benefit of the county. And the amounts budgeted to county obligations for county expenses, they're just some expenses we had that don't have a department home. They're truly a county obligation, and that's why they're there. And general contingencies for, again, those emergency expenditures, $700,000 in voting machines, other things like that that can come up. It just gives you an idea of the $10.5 million in Department 35 for this year. There's 9.4 that are these mandated appropriations, and you can see where those go from McJazz, different court commitments, portions we owe for the muni courts, all the way down through. There are some discretionary expenses, again, that benefit the county. Ohio University Extension helps support the county-wide 4-H program, Stark County Emergency Management, Stark Development Board, our Stark County Hazmat Team. So again, organizations that help the health and well-being of the county in general. And then there are a few discretionary items in there. Right now we have a line item. One of the things we look at each year is commitment to the drainage program in the county and the flood control issues. And this year we have it drafted in with $500,000 to help support the drainage program. Again, what I talked about with Department 43, so the new things that you'll see in this year, Department 43, what we're going to budget moving forward is making 4-1 for the departments we have the financial or appropriating control over, raises being implemented 4-1 of each year as the standard date, regardless of whether the budget's complete January, February, March, making that a consistent date. It provides a couple benefits. One, it gives employees certainty. They know 4-1 is when my raise comes in. There's not this question of when's what getting done. Also, it will provide our employees with consistent 12 months at each pay rate. So it's not, hey, I've got 13 months here, I went 18 months. Well, it's just, it sets that consistent methodology and it works into, helps out with budgeting as well. Also, the commissioners' budget transfers that are being made into salary accounts. If there's, we're budgeting to the salary accounts with the parameters that were provided earlier. If for some reason at the end of the year there's any transfers that need to go into the salary accounts that come before the Board of Commissioners, the Board of Commissioners are requiring that a written documentation of why the salary budget was not sufficient to meeting the needs and why that additional appropriation or transfer is needed. Looking into 2015, One of the things that really came up, as I mentioned, with moving capital out of the department budgets, one of the other flux points that came up through this process are retirement anticipation and budgeting for retirements and expected separations and those payouts. And that's one of the things that different departments wrestle with every year is how do we put that in, and we have to budget for it, and sometimes it throws the numbers off. So looking into 2015, and we may be pulling together a blue ribbon commission, getting some folks to help us put this together, is looking to put a county fund together for those retirement separations, and how do we fund that so we can take that out of your department budgets and put that into in a county fund, which again, in looking at then your operating budgets and forecasting, you're really just bouncing off of what are your actual operating, take capital out of the way, take those things that really flux and throw things out of line, really give you the opportunity to budget on a more consistent basis. So that's something we're going to be looking at, and some of the steps we'll have to get through there. The other thing that comes up, and the commissioners are well aware, we have valuable employees, and we wish our employees could all make more. And we try to help them out whenever we can. And in the budget, to try and maintain the budget and the forecast that we have to manage that growth rate, because our costs are driven by our employees. And the more employees and the more we pay them, that just throws that forecast of the expenditures ahead. So we realize there are times when sometimes an employee needs more than a 2% raise. They received a competitive offer from somewhere. They're taking on additional duties. There's different things. So we realize that that's an issue and it's something we need to address. So this year we're going to try and work together and come up with a strategy of how can we address that in the future that kind of sets some guidelines and expectations that we can all work with, and how do we handle those as they come up. So where are we at with the budget right now? What you have before you is the proposed 2014 appropriation budget that's going to the commissioners. That will be on their agenda next Wednesday on the 19th to be approved. Please take this time. Like I said, I'll be sending out an electronic version of this this afternoon. Please take your time to read through it, any changes, corrections, whatever. If there's anything that you need to provide feedback back through the commissioners that you'd like us to take a second look at or whatever, please get those to me by noon on Monday. So we've got some time, at least beforehand, if there's some things we can make to adjust to that resolution before it goes through. But